Hello everyone, Dr. Mandell here. If you're over 65 or even approaching it, your arteries need more love and protection than ever. Today I'm going to share a simple morning trick that can support better blood flow, lower inflammation, and help keep your arteries clean. And all you need to do is add one powerful ingredient to your oatmeal. This food is inexpensive, incredibly nutrient-dense, and backed by real science. Let's get into it. For most people over the age of 65, the slow, silent thickening of the arteries begins long before they ever feel a symptom, long before a doctor ever warns them, and long before the first chest pain or shortness of breath appears. But what if one of the most powerful defenses against this hidden danger isn't found in a prescription bottle, a surgical treatment, or an expensive supplement? What if it is hidden inside a small seed, so small it could rest on the tip of your finger, yet so powerful it can help trap artery-clogging cholesterol before it ever reaches your bloodstream? This isn't mythology or marketing. This is the science of the soluble fiber inside ground flaxseed, a natural compound that forms a gel-like substance inside your digestive tract, capable of binding with excess LDL cholesterol and escorting it out of your body like a toxin it refuses to let in. Imagine the inside of your arteries right now, long, delicate tubes that have carried blood faithfully for decades. As we age, the lining of those arteries becomes more fragile, more reactive, and more vulnerable to particles of LDL cholesterol circulating in the blood. When LDL levels rise, those particles don't simply float harmlessly. They wedge themselves into tiny cracks in the arterial walls, triggering inflammation, plaque formation, and eventually dangerous blockages. But here's where flaxseed's soluble fiber becomes something extraordinary. Once it enters your digestive system, it transforms into a viscous gel that acts like a sponge. When this gel moves through your intestines, it grabs onto LDL, carrying bile acids, forcing your liver to pull more cholesterol from your blood to make new bile. And as your liver draws out this cholesterol, your LDL levels drop naturally, steadily, and safely. One study published in the journal Nutrition and Metabolism found that just 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed per day lowered LDL cholesterol by up to 15% in older adults. 15% may not sound dramatic until you realize that for every 1% reduction in LDL, the risk of heart attack drops by about 1 to 2%. That means a humble daily spoonful of flaxseed can shift your cardiovascular future in a measurable, life-changing way. Scientists call this effect bile acid sequestration. Most people simply call it hope. But the story goes deeper. As we age, the intestines become less efficient at regulating cholesterol absorption. A 65-year-old digestive system does not process fats the same way a 30-year-old system does. Enzymes slow down, motility decreases, inflammation increases. All of this creates an environment where cholesterol is absorbed more easily and cleared less effectively. Flaxseed's soluble fiber doesn't just bind cholesterol, it improves the entire metabolic environment. When that gel forms, it slows the digestion of everything else around it, stabilizing blood sugar spikes and reducing the insulin surges that contribute to arterial inflammation. This means flaxseed doesn't just protect your arteries, it protects the very processes that lead to artery damage in the first place. Picture millions of microscopic fibers swelling inside your oatmeal, expanding gently as they travel through your gut, creating a slow, controlled nutrient release. This is why people who consume flaxseed often report feeling fuller longer, having more stable energy, and experiencing smoother digestion. But for someone over 65, the benefit is far more meaningful. Those fibers take pressure off the pancreas, off the liver, off the heart. They lighten the metabolic load that decades of stress, poor diet, and modern living place on the body, and they do it without side effects, without dependency, and without cost barriers. Here's a shocking fact. According to the American Heart Association, more than 70% of adults over 65 already have some degree of plaque buildup in their arteries. Most never know it. Plaque doesn't appear suddenly. It builds grain by grain, year after year, fueled by excess LDL particles that never should have made it past the digestive tract in the first place. Soluble fiber acts as a final checkpoint, a barrier that catches those particles before they enter circulation. Think of it as nature's cholesterol filter. Now consider this. The average older adult consumes less than half the daily recommended amount of fiber. Not only does this increase the risk of constipation and digestive discomfort, but it dramatically increases the burden placed on the arteries. When fiber intake is low, more cholesterol gets absorbed, more inflammation builds, and more plaque accumulates. But when soluble fiber increases, even by a small daily amount, the entire system shifts toward balance. Flaxseed offers one of the highest concentrations of soluble fiber found anywhere in nature, more than oatmeal, more than apples, more than beans, and more than most heart-healthy foods combined. This is why clinical studies repeatedly show that flaxseed is one of the most effective natural foods for supporting arterial health. In older adults, its effects are even more pronounced because the body is more responsive to changes in diet. The moment flaxseed enters the digestive tract, the mucilage fiber begins hydrating, swelling, and sticking to molecules of cholesterol like glue. This is not a slow process. It begins within hours, and over time it compounds. Day after day, week after week, your blood gradually carries fewer dangerous LDL particles. Your arteries face less bombardment, your inflammation decreases, your risk lowers. And yet, the simplicity of this solution often makes people overlook it. We live in a world where health improvements are expected to come in the form of advanced technology, breakthrough drugs, or complex protocols. But sometimes the most powerful solutions are found in the quiet elegance of nature. A spoonful of ground flaxseed stirred into warm oatmeal each morning is more than a recipe. It is a daily act of protection, a habit that strengthens the very highways that carry life to your brain, your heart, your muscles, and your organs. Every time that soluble fiber sweeps cholesterol from your body, you are rewriting your health trajectory. You are lowering the burden on your heart. You are reducing the likelihood of the #1 cause of death worldwide, blocked arteries. And you are doing it gently, naturally, consistently. No drama, no procedure, just nutrition doing what it was designed to do. In the end, the true power of flaxseed soluble fiber lies not in its smallness, but in its reliability. It works quietly, it works daily, it works for the young, and it works even more profoundly for those over 65. When you choose to add it to your oatmeal each morning, you are choosing to partner with one of the most scientifically supported heart protective foods ever studied. You are choosing better circulation, better energy, better longevity, and you are choosing to give your arteries the gift they deserve after carrying you faithfully through every year of your life. For millions of people over the age of 65, the battle inside their arteries is happening quietly, invisibly, and often without a single warning sign until it is too late. Deep inside the bloodstream, inflammation acts like a slow-burning fire. It irritates the delicate lining of the arteries, stiffens them, and makes them more vulnerable to plaque buildup. Doctors call it endothelial dysfunction, but most people know it only when it finally erupts as a heart attack or stroke. Yet long before that moment, long before a hospital visit or a life-altering diagnosis, the body gives subtle clues: fatigue, cold hands and feet, shortness of breath, or the creeping rise of blood pressure. What many never realize is that one of the most powerful natural extinguishers of this internal fire comes from a humble plant seed delivering a form of omega-3 so potent, so protective, that researchers have been stunned by the impact it has on arterial health. This is the story of ALA, alpha-linolenic acid, the plant-based omega-3 found abundantly in ground flaxseed. ALA is more than a nutrient. It is a biological message, a healing signal carried through the bloodstream. When you consume ALA, you are sending your body a command: reduce inflammation, relax the arteries, protect the heart. Dozens of studies confirm this effect. Research in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that higher ALA intake can reduce the risk of fatal heart events by up to 39%. That is not a small change. It is a life-saving shift driven by a daily spoonful of flaxseed. But how does such a tiny seed carry such enormous power? The answer lies in the way ALA interacts with inflammation itself. Inside the arteries, immune cells called macrophages become activated when they encounter oxidative stress, high blood sugars, or LDL cholesterol particles. These macrophages release inflammatory molecules that stiffen arteries and accelerate plaque buildup. ALA acts like a molecular brake, reducing the activity of these inflammatory messengers and calming the environment inside the vessel walls. Scientists have discovered that ALA reduces C-reactive protein levels, a major marker of inflammation, helping restore balance to an aging cardiovascular system. But the story goes deeper. The inner lining of your arteries, known as the endothelium, is designed to expand and contract with every beat of your heart. It is flexible when you are young, adapting smoothly to changes in pressure. But with age, stress, and poor diet, the endothelium begins to stiffen. When that happens, blood pressure rises, circulation weakens, and the heart must pump harder just to move the same amount of blood. ALA helps restore this flexibility. Research from the Journal of Nutrition shows that ALA improves endothelial function by increasing nitric oxide availability, allowing arteries to relax more easily. Imagine those arteries softening, opening, and allowing blood to flow freely again, delivering oxygen to the brain, the muscles, and all the tissues that depend on healthy circulation for survival. Every single day, the average human heart pumps about 2,000 gallons of blood. By the time you turn 65, your heart has beaten more than 2 billion times. And yet, the arteries it relies on must remain open, clean, and flexible. ALA helps make that possible by reducing the oxidative stress that damages the artery walls. Oxidative stress is like rust forming inside your blood vessels. It weakens the tissue, attracts cholesterol particles, and triggers inflammation. But ALA functions as an antioxidant powerhouse, neutralizing free radicals and reducing the oxidative damage that accelerates aging. It is no coincidence that populations consuming higher amounts of ALA experience dramatically lower rates of cardiovascular mortality. One of the most shocking discoveries in cardiovascular research is that inflammation, not cholesterol alone, is the true spark that ignites artery disease. Cholesterol cannot build plaque without inflammation. It cannot stick to artery walls unless inflammation weakens them first. ALA directly interrupts this dangerous cycle. When your body metabolizes ALA, it transforms into powerful anti-inflammatory compounds that lower the production of molecules responsible for arterial swelling and stiffness. This is why researchers from Harvard concluded that increasing ALA intake can significantly reduce the risk of sudden cardiac death, a statistic that becomes even more meaningful for older adults who are far more vulnerable to dangerous arrhythmias triggered by poor blood flow. But ALA's benefits reach deeper than the arteries. It influences blood pressure, helping lower harmful spikes caused by stress or stiff vessels. It improves platelet function, reducing the chance of dangerous clots forming unexpectedly. It even supports healthy triglyceride levels, reducing the fat particles that contribute to metabolic syndrome. For older adults, this combination is profound. Heart health declines not from one issue alone, but from multiple small imbalances accumulating over decades. ALA addresses them simultaneously, providing a complete natural defense system. Picture this. Every time you stir a spoonful of ground flaxseed into your oatmeal, your body begins a cascade of protective processes. Inflammation decreases, arterial walls relax, blood flows more smoothly, oxidative stress drops. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard. You feel more energy, clearer thinking, warmer hands and feet, stronger endurance. These are not imaginary benefits. They are measurable effects documented repeatedly in scientific literature. And the greatest advantage of all is that ALA is gentle. It does not force the body, it supports it. It does not overstimulate, it balances. It does not create dependency, it restores natural function. For older adults, this is monumental. As the body ages, natural defenses weaken, metabolic processes slow, and inflammation becomes harder to control. But ALA offers a way to support the cardiovascular system without strain, without harsh intervention, and without expense. It is one of the rare nutrients that work in harmony with aging biology instead of against it. And unlike fish-based omega-3s, which can oxidize quickly and lose potency, flaxseed delivers ALA in a stable plant-based matrix filled with antioxidants and fiber. What makes this even more remarkable is how easy it is to integrate into daily life. No complex routine, no pills, no side effects. Just 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed each day can deliver enough ALA to alter your cardiovascular trajectory. And each day you consume it, you are building a shield, a literal biological shield around your arteries. A shield against inflammation, against oxidation, against stiffness, against the silent progression of artery disease that claims millions of lives every year. This is not hype, this is not theory. This is documented, peer-reviewed, scientifically validated protection that grows stronger with time simply by choosing to nourish your body with one of nature's most powerful omega-3 sources. Alpha-linolenic acid is not just a nutrient, it is a lifeline. And for anyone over 65 seeking to protect their heart, preserve their vitality, and extend the quality of their years, it may be one of the most important daily habits they ever adopt. In the end, the true power of flaxseed's soluble fiber lies not in its smallness, but in its reliability. It works quietly, it works daily, it works for the young, and it works even more profoundly for those over 65. When you choose to add it to your oatmeal each morning, you are choosing to partner with one of the most scientifically supported, heart-protective foods ever studied. You are choosing better circulation, better energy, better longevity. And you are choosing to give your arteries the gift they deserve after carrying you faithfully through every year of your life. Long before most people reach the age of 65, a silent transformation has already begun deep inside their arteries, where oxidative stress and cellular aging weaken the very walls that keep blood flowing to the brain, the heart, and every organ that depends on life-giving oxygen. It is a process so gradual, so invisible, that decades can pass before anyone notices the consequences. Blood pressure rising year after year, endurance shrinking, memory feeling a little slower, or a cardiologist suddenly mentioning plaque where none was seen before. But science is now uncovering something extraordinary. A natural compound hidden inside flaxseed, called lignans, may hold one of the most powerful keys to protecting aging arteries from the destructive forces of oxidative stress, hormonal imbalance, and chronic inflammation. These lignans are not just nutrients, they are biochemical soldiers, stepping into the bloodstream with one mission: protect the arteries before damage takes root. Lignans are rare, very few foods contain them, and none come close to the concentration found in flaxseed. In fact, flaxseed contains up to 800 times more lignans than any other food on Earth. That alone should make us pause. Why would a tiny seed carry such an enormous load of protective compounds unless nature designed it to defend life? When lignans enter the human body, something remarkable happens. In the gut, they are transformed by beneficial bacteria into phytoestrogens, compounds that help regulate hormonal balance in men and women, reduce oxidative stress in blood vessels, and restore the flexibility of arteries that stiffen with age. Scientists have long known that oxidative stress is one of the primary drivers of atherosclerosis. It is the invisible rust that corrodes blood vessel walls from the inside. Over time, this oxidative attack allows cholesterol to slip beneath the endothelial lining, triggering inflammation and forming plaque that narrows the arteries. But lignans interrupt this chain reaction at the root. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism shows that lignans possess powerful antioxidant properties that neutralize free radicals before they can damage endothelial cells. Imagine that, microscopic warriors circulating through your bloodstream, shielding your arteries from oxidative attacks with every beat of your heart. But lignans don't stop there. They influence the body's entire hormonal environment. As we age, hormones like estrogen and testosterone decline, often leaving the vascular system more vulnerable. Reduced estrogen in postmenopausal women, for example, dramatically increases the risk of arterial stiffness and plaque buildup. But flaxseed lignans can gently mimic the protective effects of natural estrogen, not enough to disrupt the body, but enough to support artery elasticity and reduce inflammation. This is why studies in older adults show improved arterial compliance after regular flaxseed consumption. These lignans act like a soft, protective cushion inside the arteries, helping them remain flexible and responsive rather than stiff and brittle. One of the most shocking discoveries in cardiovascular research is that arterial stiffness is one of the strongest predictors of mortality in older adults, even more predictive than high cholesterol. Stiff arteries cannot absorb the force of each heartbeat, causing blood pressure to rise and the heart to strain harder with every pump. Lignans help prevent this stiffness by reducing oxidative damage to elastin and collagen, the structural proteins that keep arteries supple. In a study conducted at St. Boniface Hospital Research Center in Canada, participants who consumed flaxseed daily for 1 year experienced a significant reduction in arterial stiffness and blood pressure, an effect that shocked researchers because it rivaled the outcomes normally seen from common blood pressure medications. But lignans also influence another critical factor: inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation is the spark that turns cholesterol from harmless into deadly. Without inflammation, plaque would not grow, would not rupture, and would not block arteries. Lignans reduce inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein, one of the strongest indicators of cardiovascular risk. And again, flaxseed is the richest source of this inflammation-fighting compound on the planet. It's no coincidence that populations consuming high lignin diets consistently experience lower rates of cardiovascular disease and better longevity. Something else is happening too, something that may be even more profound. Lignans appear to help regulate endothelial nitric oxide production, a molecule responsible for signaling arteries to relax. When nitric oxide levels fall, the arteries constrict, blood pressure rises, and circulation weakens. But lignans support the natural production of this essential compound, helping arteries open, soften, and allow blood to move freely. For someone over 65, this can be the difference between feeling sluggish and feeling alive, between cold hands and warm circulation, between elevated blood pressure and a more balanced, youthful rhythm. Even more astonishing is the impact lignans have on blood pressure itself. A study published in Hypertension, a leading medical journal, found that flaxseed reduced systolic blood pressure by up to 15 millimeters of mercury in hypertensive patients, a result comparable to prescription medication, yet achieved entirely through the power of nature. For older adults whose hearts beat more than 100,000 times a day, these lignans offer relief with every pulse. And yet most people have never even heard of lignans. They know about fiber, they know about omega-3s, but lignans are the hidden protectors, quietly repairing damage caused by years of stress, poor diet, environmental toxins, and the natural oxidative burden of aging. They help reduce plaque formation by preventing LDL cholesterol from oxidizing, a critical step in the development of atherosclerosis. Oxidized LDL is the real enemy, the form of cholesterol that inflames arteries and forms the core of dangerous plaque. Lignans act like a shield, preventing LDL from turning into the dangerous oxidized particles that drive cardiovascular disease. Imagine that shield working in your body every single day, reducing stress on your arteries, calming inflammation, stabilizing hormones, and fighting free radicals. Each spoonful of ground flaxseed contains enough lignans to shift the biology of aging blood vessels toward healing instead of deterioration. This is why researchers describe flaxseed as one of the most promising natural interventions for cardiovascular health ever studied. In the end, the power of lignans is not in their complexity, but in their consistency. They work with the body, not against it. They protect the arteries not with force, but with balance. They offer older adults a gentle but powerful way to support circulation, stabilize blood pressure, reduce oxidative stress, and maintain flexibility in the arteries that have carried them through every chapter of life. And all it takes is a spoonful of ground flaxseed each day, a small act with an impact large enough to change the course of heart health for years to come. In the end, the true power of flaxseed-soluble fiber lies not in its smallness but in its reliability. It works quietly, it works daily, it works for the young, and it works even more profoundly for those over 65. When you choose to add it to your oatmeal each morning, you are choosing to partner with one of the most scientifically supported, heart-protective foods ever studied. You are choosing better circulation, better energy, better longevity, and you are choosing to give your arteries the gift they deserve after carrying you faithfully through every year of your life.